This regular meeting of the Judson Board of Trustees is hereby called to order at 6:00 p.m. I am very pleased that you have taken time to join us this evening. As the Judson Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals and policies and oversee the management of the district. We are responsible for approving budgets, contracts, personal appointments, and to listen to the reports from the superintendent. We are not here to make administrative or management decisions pertaining to the daily operations of the district. This is the responsibility of the superintendent. In compliance with the State Government Code on Open Meetings, tonight's agenda has been appropriately posted. This is a meeting in the public, not of the public, and as our guests, you are welcome to observe and listen. These proceedings are being video and audio recorded and will become part of the Judson's permanent legal record. In order that the tape adequately reflects these proceedings, please silence your mobile devices and refrain from talking while others are speaking. Since it is legally mandated that these proceedings are recorded accurately, I may have to ask you for order periodically should I notice that disruptions are interfering with our recording capabilities. Once again, I extend to each of you a sincere welcome from the entire school board. Thank you for your interest in Judson ISD. We have established a quorum. And if you will, please, board, roll call. We do have a quorum. I am Renee Pichelle, and to my right is Jennifer Rodriguez. To my far left is Suzanne Canoyer, Mr. Jose Macias, and to my direct left is Dr. Ball, our superintendent. Dr. Ball? At this time, will you please stand for the invocation and the posting of the colors?
Bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you in this time of celebration of the season of Christmas. We ask you to be with us tonight as we work towards making every decision in the best interest of our students. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I'd like to introduce to you our pledge leader for tonight. He is Fabian Ortega Herrera. Fabian, why don't you go on up to the microphone there, if you would, please. Fabian is 11 years old and is a tag student at Elof Elementary. Fabian plays basketball for the Knights at the Alamo City Sports Complex, and he enjoys playing video games as well. His favorite subjects in school are math and social studies, and his least favorite subject, at least at this point, is science. He enjoys Elof Elementary because he likes the teachers and the many fun activities that go on at school. Let's join Fabian in the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. and Texas flags.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, one indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
You may be seated. Let's give Fabian a hand for a nice job. Hold on just a second, okay? And Fabian, his family is here. Could y'all stand just to be recognized, please? I'd also like to recognize the Judson High School Junior ROTC. They were our color guard for this evening. That is Cadet First Lieutenant Star Clinton, Cadet Airman First Class Timothy Gonzalez, Cadet Airman First Class Keith Main, and Cadet Airman Justin Gonzalez. All right, our board recognitions start off with the Fine Arts Program. It is obviously a very active and robust part of the total education package in Judson ISD. And recent competitions and auditions have shown that our student musicians are very capable and very talented. At the recent Region 11 auditions, JISD had a number of students that emerged from the pack as the cream of the crop and will be going on to compete for a chair at the state level. First, we would like to start with band students from each high school. From Judson High School, under the direction of Jeff Keys, we have Lonnie Buck, Jorge Rivera, Diego Zamora, Blake Lowak, Jackson Haveman, and we also have Kyle Martinez, who placed first chair percussion, Dominique Maldonado, first place chair trombone, and Daniel Zamora, first chair bassoon. I'd also like to mention some of the students that couldn't make it this evening, but also will be going on to that state competition, and that is John Medina, Charles Samaniego, and Alisa Pagan-Velez. Also, Kristen Robinson, who was first chair oboe, she was out of town, wasn't be able to make it. Thank you very much. And would the parents of these students, if they are here, could you please wave or stand or? All right. All right, now from Wagner High School, under the direction of Frank Foster, student musicians Kenna Knowles, Annalie Rivera, Iscali Guadarrama, and Jordan Simmons. And would the parents of these students, if they are here, can you wave or stand, please? They're here. All right, moving on to choir from Judson High School under the direction of Mr. David Short. He was not able to be here this evening, but his students, Jaden Blanchard, Haley Bennett, Elijah Finley, and Molly Tilton. students Heidi Neighbors and Sky Swisher also made it, but they were not able to attend this evening. From Veterans Memorial High School, under the direction of Leticia Rodriguez, Victoria Mata, who achieved first chair soprano 2. Is Victoria's family here? And from Wagner High School, under the direction of Antoinette Harris, Leo Peary, Michaela Hall, and Lafilo Faati. And will their family members stand or wave, please? All right. Now Dr. Ball has a few words that she would like to say.
I hope that everybody can notice the beautiful artwork that we have on the walls. So we recently had a contest as to which students would design the district Christmas cards. So all of these were the entries for the district competition for the district Christmas card. So if any of the students are here, we'd like to invite them to come up. Rose, did we have any students? Oh, here they. Okay, if our students would come up. So we have an additional recognition tonight, and this individual can be described as being the glue of Judson ISD. This individual has seen many superintendents come and go, many things happen within the district, but he has always stood strong to support our district. So we have an individual that is choosing to retire, and we'd like to honor and celebrate all his years of service that he has given to our district, and that is Mr. Elizondo. Yes, I just two more little comments. First of all, I want to thank the board for making sure that he stayed, so I know that if anybody knows, Mr. Elizondo had thought about retiring since May. But they convinced him to stay a little bit longer, and I could not be more appreciative. So thank you for staying. You have helped me tremendously the short time that I've been here. So sincerely, we all wish you the very best. I know many of your staff members are in the audience, so we all thank you, and we greatly appreciate you. We wish you nothing but the best. Thank you.
This time is provided for citizens to address the board on issues or concerns. A person may speak one time for a period of 3 minutes. Presentations shall be informative only. No board action will be taken. A complaint or charge against an officer or employee of the district is not allowed in open session. Complaints and concerns should first be addressed by campus and/or district administration. If your topic involves a personnel matter, a student matter, or if you contend that your legal rights have been violated or board policy not followed, we have specific grievance procedures, DGBA legal and local, for these matters, and now is not the appropriate time to discuss these matters. Also, as a reminder, you are not allowed to refer to any individual by name. We respectfully ask that you refrain from making personal attacks or rude or slanderous remarks or becoming boisterous. The presiding officer shall determine whether a person who wishes to address the board has attempted to solve a matter administratively. If not, the person shall be directed to the appropriate policy to seek resolution before bringing the matter to the board at a subsequent meeting. Citizens wishing to receive a response from concerns presented to the board must present written documentation. The board shall not deliberate or decide regarding any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. And before we begin with the very first citizen to be heard Dr. Ball, I'd like to take a moment to recognize Mr. Jeff Beeler, who is the Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Converse City Council. Please stand. Thank you, Jeff. Are there any other dignitaries that are here?
I consider them dignitaries because they are students, but I also just wanted to remind our audience that everybody is very welcome to stay for the entire meeting. But if you wanted to make an exit because you are a student and we're providing cookies and hot chocolate for you, this would be the best time to do that. But please know that you are very, very welcome to stay. But we do have your prizes in the back and hot chocolate and cookies. But I thank you all for coming. Thank you.
And Merry Christmas to you all. And Miss McKinney's ready to get up. Right, and have, we're going to get you to the chairs with your names on it. At this time, would Stephen Schultz please come to the mic? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Schultz. I'm president of the Associated Builders and Contractors South Texas chapter. We are a professional business association that represents the construction industry through A, advocacy, B, business development opportunities, and C, construction education. We are part of one of the largest economic generators in this area, the construction, real estate, and development industry. A $35.8 billion industry that employs over 133,000 with $6.7 billion in wages and generates over $232 million each year in local tax revenue. The South Texas chapter currently works with over 25 area high schools, including Judson High School, in developing construction-related education programs to help fill the pipeline of skilled craft professionals. The craft professionals take great pride in their work, as does everyone in the construction business. These craft professionals and construction companies have won numerous awards at the local, state, regional, and national level for projects such as the ones built for Judson Independent School District, for which they are justifiably proud. Any implication that their work was substandard or inadequate is of great concern, as they take great care to ensure that projects are completed safely, on time, on budget, and according to the plans and specifications. And if there's an instance where there was an incorrect or deficient project, they want and deserve the opportunity to make it right. Their reputations depend on this, as they want to maintain their good relationships they have established with owners such as the Judson Independent School District. If there truly are construction-related issues, it would only make sense to allow the construction team the opportunity to make it right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Doug McMurray.
Yeah, cookies and hot chocolate sounds pretty good. It was quite a treat to be here for the recognitions. You obviously have a lot of talented students within the district. So, well, season's greetings. My name is Doug McMurray, and I'm with the Associated General Contractors, which is a 100-year-old nonprofit trade association that promotes skill, integrity, and responsibility in the local construction industry. AGC is a big supporter of public education, including Go Public. I personally have worked on dozens of school bond campaigns and had the pleasure of serving as chairman of 2 bond oversight committees, one with Northeast and one with Alamo Colleges. We want you to be successful with facilities planning and school construction projects. Your success is our success. That's why we are very concerned about specialty law firms interested in seeking large insurance settlements by asserting cookie-cutter claims for alleged construction defects. A couple of quick points. Construction companies, understandably, will spend a lot of time and effort defending their reputations against false claims. Ultimately, the cost of fighting those false claims will be passed on through construction costs. Similarly, insurance companies representing construction companies may be forced to hire legal teams to defend against claims. So increases in insurance premiums will also be passed through in the form of higher construction costs. We understand, of course, that there are on occasion legitimate claims. Large capital improvements programs can be complicated, especially when the best construction companies are not selected at the outset. If there are specific problems associated with construction projects, tell the contractor what the problems are and give the company an opportunity to make the proper repairs. Include your facilities maintenance people in the discussion. They are a valuable resource to you. Lastly, remember that professional relationships between good construction companies, the ones you want to work with, and the district are important to your success. Your success is our success. In the days ahead, let's keep the lines of communication open. We really appreciated the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Macias recently. Together, we can advocate for better school funding, support the work of the Education Foundation, and address some of the specific problems you see with district facilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Tori Stanley Carlton.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I am the Executive Director of AIA San Antonio, the local chapter of the American Institute of Architects. AIA was established 161 years ago to represent architects and architecture. AIA's mission is to advance our nation's quality of life and protect the public's health, safety, and welfare. Our chapter, AIA San Antonio, was established in 1953. For the last 65 years, we've worked proactively to unite the community of architects to build safe, sustainable communities. Like hospitals and houses of worship, schools are essential community investments. Research has proven that well-designed and thoughtfully constructed schools have a direct correlation to a child's ability to learn. Architects, like each of you, are committed to providing safe, state-of-the-art educational facilities. AI leaders are deeply concerned about lawsuits being filed by opportunistic law firms. These actions are eroding the AEC community's trust and will impact the architecture's community's ability to deliver the educational facilities that your district needs. As Doug said, school projects are complex to deliver. The process is arduous and requires trust, your trust in the AEC team hired to deliver the project. These lawsuits are having an effect, as evidenced by the reluctance of bidders and subcontractors to submit for the project that you offered in October. AIA urges you to trust the teams you've assembled to build your schools. Regular and open conversations between professionals and your maintenance team will ensure that issues arising from warranty issues can be dealt with on a timely basis. The right to repair is the right decision to make. As trustees of this school district, you are charged in ensuring high-quality educational opportunities for those families living in the Judson Independent School District. Our city is bracing to meet the needs of more than 1 million new residents in 2030. There is no time to be wasted in the design and construction of schools. The future of the children and our community is in your hands. AIA San Antonio, together with our colleagues from the Associated General Contractors, offer ours to you in partnership and collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, we have Renee Henry, Wagner JROTC Drill Pad.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to come here today. My name is Renee Henry. I'm the president for the Wagner JROTC Parent Booster Club for the Wagner High School. We want to request 2 100 by 100 drill pads for our students to practice on. Currently, they're practicing in the parking lot, which has several potholes, cracks, water rests in there when it rains, and this is unsafe for our students to be practicing on. We also host the first competition every year there with 37 schools. This brings in a lot of schools and money to the program, which we use throughout the year for things that we need. But right now, the parking lot that we're using is not conducive, safe, or adequate for this competition. also, we compete with the traffic on the day-to-day basis after school, coming and leaving the school while the students are trying to practice. So this is also a safety concern that we have for our students. And that leads me to the next topic, which is the parking lot. It was supposed to be repaired back in November, and it still hasn't been. So that's still a safety concern for our students, as well as vehicles. Vehicles hit potholes, it's bad for their tires, their fenders. So those are my issues, and thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to recognize Ms. Eaton, Ms. Deborah Eaton. We will move on to item 4. Dr. Ball?
Excuse me, sorry. At this time, I would like to ask for that agenda item to be pulled and put at the May board meeting.
Okay, thank you. So item 4 has been pulled. We'll move on to item 5, consideration of consent items. I will read each item individually, and if anyone has one that they'd like to pull, please let me know. 5A, consider and take action regarding approving board minutes from the regular meeting held on November the 15th and the special meeting that was held on December the 7th, 2018. B, consider and take action regarding approving the monthly financial information as of November 30th, 2018. C, consider and take action regarding approving amendments to the budget for the 2019 fiscal year. D, consider and take action regarding approving expenditures equal to or greater than $50,000. E, consider and take action regarding approving budget transfers across expenditure function categories. F, consider and take action regarding approving Metropolitan Transit Agreement regarding the use of the parking area at Crossroads Mall for transfer of our McKinney-Vento students between districts. Pull. Go right ahead. Okay. Item G, consider and take action regarding approving moving the regular board meeting from February the 21st to February the 19th, 2019. Item H, consider and take action regarding approving the following new staffing and reclassification requests. Deletion of the CTE secretary, CIS 306, new staffing request for CTE purchasing specialist, CIS 307, reclassification of adult and community education coordinator number of days from 220 to 226, reclassification of bond project clerk from pay grade CIS 303 to CIS 304. Okay. I, consider and take action regarding approving the ranking of the submittals for requests for competitive sealed proposal 19-03 district-wide re-roofing projects phase 2. J, consider and take action regarding approval of the ranking of the submittals for requests for competitive sealed proposal 19-04 district-wide re-roofing projects phase 3. K, consider and take action regarding approval of amending the authorized representatives to perform investments for the district. L, consider and take action regarding approval of the resolution designating the investment officers for the Judson Independent School District. Item M has been pulled. We will now vote on items A, B, C, D, E, G, IJL.
Motion?
Motion by Mr. Macias, seconded by Ms. Canoyer. Okay, go ahead and vote. Those items have been passed unanimously. Let's go on then to item F. Ms. Eaton, you wanted to pull item F? Go right
Yes,
ahead.
I was just wondering, for legal purposes, the name of the mall itself was changed to Wonderland of the Americas Mall. So does that affect our paperwork as far as insurance and stuff, or are we only talking about that parking area?
We're only talking about that parking area, so that area right there at the crossroads is where, an area that the districts, several districts go and share services. So VIA now is asking us to sign an agreement with them that ourselves and many other districts will go and pick up the McKinney-Vento students, which, just for information, the McKinney-Vento students are our homeless students.
Right. But the name, you know, just for our own protection, does the name matter, that it changed several years ago and they're still calling it Crossroads
Right.
Mall?
I don't believe so, but I will double check on that part.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, we'll go ahead.
Are we gonna,
Yes, I'm trying to clear it. It's not working. I'm pushing proceed. Of course it works because you came up with. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, do we have a motion? Motion by Ms. Canoyer?
second?
Seconded by Ms. Eaton. Is there discussion? Then we'll go ahead and vote. Motion passed. Item H, consider and take action regarding approving the following new staffing and reclassification requests. Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Macias, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Rodriguez. Is there a discussion? Mr. Macias.
Yes, Dr. Ball, just talk a little bit about this reclassification, and I guess give me a little background on it.
Yes, sir. So we've had some discussions in regards to these positions. So the CTE secretary and the CTE purchasing specialist will truly be combined as one position. So when the individual that currently holds the CTE secretary, that position will be eliminated and it'll be changed to the CTE purchasing specialist. So the job description will entail basically both duties. Then the reclassification of the adult and community education coordinator is a person that has in the past, the position I should say, has worked 220 days, but as we are working on developing things that will be happening in the summer, that position will be one that helps out year-round. So we do need that person to work the 226 days instead of the 220. The next position in regards to the bond project clerk, after evaluating the job description and the responsibilities of what that person will be doing, is more aligned to the 304 pay grade instead of the 303.
Has that position been one that we've not filled, or is someone currently in that position?
That position has not been filled, it's been vacated.
And the difference, just from my perspective, from 303 to 304 is about how much?
Money-wise, I'll have to ask Mr. Garcia to help me dollar-wise.
That's approximately $3,100 of bond funds.
Okay, perfect, thank you. That's good, I appreciate it.
I have a question also on that same item. The new job description and the reclassification for the secretary to purchasing specialist, does that also have an increase in pay?
Yes, ma'am, that does have an increase in pay.
Okay, thank you.
How much?
Marco, would you happen to know the dollar amount?
It's approximately $6,000, but I'd also like to point out that these would be Perkins funds, and the secretary position that's being eliminated are local funds, so we're saving local dollars to the tune of $36,000 approximately. So the new position would be Perkins funded, ma'am, but there is a pay increase of approximately $6,000.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, if there's no more discussion, let's go ahead and vote. And this item passes 5-0. And item K, consider and take action regarding approval of amending the authorized representative to perform investments for the district. Mr. Macias, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Macias, motion, and second.
Second.
Ms. Eaton, is there discussion?
Yeah, just a brief,
right ahead.
brief question. Who is the, who are we adding, or, what are we doing there?
We are adding Mr. Bill Atkins and taking off Mr. Jose Elizondo, since Mr. Elizondo will be retiring.
Okay, thank you.
That's all it was. Okay, so we're ready to vote on that one, right? Okay. Let's see. And that vote passed 5-0. We'll move on to item 6, discussion and consideration of action items. 6A, consider and take possible action regarding approving renegotiating the non-exclusive license agreement. May I have a motion? Motion. Motion by Mr. Macias.
Second.
Second by Ms. Rodriguez. Discussion. Last month, Dr. Vaughn, I asked for this to be put back on the agenda because I wanted to go over this agreement, make sure that we're getting what we deserve, what this district deserves from the industry that we do business with. And then maybe we can talk about a difference in the percentage. But what I would like to know, first of all, is what have the overall revenues been since the beginning of this particular contract?
Yes, ma'am. So the revenues are not large revenues at all. So I am going back since 2016, and the revenue total from 2016, specifically November 2016 to date, is at $3,620.80
Since,
since 2016.
so the original contract was created in 2016?
The information that I have is that it actually started since 2010. The board at that time approved it on June the 17th, 2010. The records that I was able to quickly find in regards to the profit come only from the 2016, so I'm going to have to do a little bit more looking for the rest of the years.
Because the best way to decide whether or not we could increase the percentage or not, or leave it where it is to know what the overall revenue has been.
And I believe we could, find it. So we'll just have to continue to look through some paper files to see if we can find this information.
Okay. This is gonna need to come back again.
Sure, that's fine.
So go ahead and take the time that you need, and would you please give us a ballpark of a timeline to expect a report from you
No, we can do it by the January board meeting.
by the January board meeting?
Yes.
I have a question. So, Dr. Ball, currently, is there anyone that's assigned to monitor this program?
I just want to make sure that I get clarification. When you say monitor, do you mean going around to different stores and looking to see if they're selling our products? Is that?
No,
oh,
ma'am. As far as ensuring actually that we're getting the correct amounts, because that's the concern. I mean, the product is being sold in H-E-B, it's being sold in Walmart, and all we received was $3,000.
Right. We can definitely investigate it more, but I don't know how. It's kind of one of those things on their word and on their trust, because we don't get information as to how much was really sold. All we get is the check saying this is what was sold. And then I'd also like to point out that we have very few, and I'm searching for the word, I guess, royalties on only certain logos, not all the logos.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
However, those logos that are specified in the agreement, those are the ones that I'm talking about. I guess that Ms. Eaton is talking about also. Those are the ones that I'm talking about. And whatever the third party that's between us and the retailers, they shouldn't they be the ones that report to us whatever that royalty is that we've gotten for those? I just think that maybe we probably need to enforce a little more, but we can certainly wait until there's more information and then discuss it, because I'd like to have some more specifics.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. We'll table this. Oh, it won't do anything. Okay. Let's move on to item 6B. Consider and take possible action regarding approving conducting a comprehensive internal audit for special education. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Macias. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Rodriguez. Discussion. Mr. Macias?
Yes. I think annually we set aside funding, I think it's 50,000. Not sure, but I think we set aside some money for audits. And I know that we finished our HR audit, and I think we still have funds. In fact, I don't think we've spent any. So I just wanted to confirm first what our budget allocation looks like for those internal audit functions. Is there, Mr. Elizondo?
I'm going to have to refer to Mr. Elizondo because I don't know about that.
We'd have to verify, but I think it's $40,000 for the current fiscal year, and none of it has been spent for the
Okay,
current fiscal year.
so we still have $40,000 to spend. There was the initial risk assessment that was conducted some years ago by the Gibson Consulting. They're the same group that conducted our HR internal audit. During that risk assessment, it identified 3 areas of risk, what they consider out of 24 areas that they evaluated. And number 2 was special ed. Number 3 was child nutrition. So in accordance with us continuing to do our oversight as a board, I would like to continue now and look at that second assessment that was conducted years ago and look at our processes for special ed. And so that's why I brought this on the agenda, so that we can move forward and direct Dr. Ball to get the ball going. Sorry. But essentially just wanted to have some discussion on it. But that's where this is coming from.
Okay. Dr. Ball, I'd like to ask you, in your short time of being here, have you had an opportunity to make an assessment of the special ed department?
Currently, we're assessing all of our departments right now. We've made some changes in regards to various departments. Also, I have contracted with Ms. Robinson that is helping us assess. We, in many areas, not just in special ed, we know that we have work to be done, and people are definitely working on it. We've made a lot of progress in those areas, so I'm not ready yet to say that we need a full-blown assessment yet.
Okay, if you're not ready to give an assessment, then would it be presumptuous for us to move ahead and move forward with an audit before you make an assessment?
Right now, I have to be honest and tell you, I trust my team. Special ed specifically falls under an individual that I know is working diligently to make corrections and to see improvement. I've seen the work that is being done, and I believe we're headed in the right area. We're not perfect by any means, but we're making some great strides.
Dr. Ball, I'd like to recommend that after the holidays and everyone gets back to work, that when you have completed what you feel needs to be recommended for special ed and whatever other departments that you work, would you please report to us and do something in like a chart that would have the department that you're assessing and what the strengths and the weaknesses and what your recommendations are for that particular department, and give us that so we can see what it is that you say that you all have been working on?
Yes, ma'am. I've tried to give a glimpse during the Friday notes that I share with the board. I don't know if everybody has been able to see that, but that is just a little glimpse, and I have no problem doing something more comprehensive for each of the areas that we're looking at.
Thank you. Let's see who's next. Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes, my questions were similar to Ms. Fischel. It seems a little bit premature to move forward with a specific audit, but I have another question for Mr. Macias. When was the report you're talking about that identified the risk areas? Do you remember more or less when that report came out, when that was produced?
It was some years ago, maybe 2012.
Okay. So it seems like that was a while ago also, and that doing a comprehensive review might help us identify if that's still a priority area or not. That's all I have.
Okay, all right. Ms. Ganoyer.
Thank you. I think that I don't disagree that we do not, that's too many negatives, let me put it this way. I think that perhaps special education has been an ongoing issue of concern throughout the state. We all know, or if anybody who reads the news knows what happened with the testing of special ed students. I don't want to say that we should never do an audit, but I do want to give Dr. Ball a chance to go in, make the changes that she thinks needs to happen, and give her some time to see what problem areas still arise so that we could have somebody come in and fine-tune through an audit perhaps at that point.
Mr. Macias.
Thank you. I agree with everyone's perspective, and I put this on the agenda so that we could have some real dialogue. I do want to state that the reason I've been passionate about audits is because part of a board's oversight is to review departments. I mean, any department that has a potential risk or that can be managed better. And in conjunction with the superintendent and the board, strengthen whatever that is. Since special ed came up number 2 in risk assessments, it meant that there were some problems. So what can we do to help? And so the whole essence of this is to get into the mindset that we do need to do an audit, and we set funds in our budget so that we can do that. So leaving 40,000 on the table and not doing some additional oversight is a shortcoming. We need to do that. So if it's not special ed, then the next one may be child nutrition, or the next one, whatever those departments are, we need to be doing that. We always talk about successful districts, and two successful districts I feel in this community, Northside Independent School District and Northeast, and they have ongoing audit mechanisms. It is just part of the way we do business, and I think it's important that the board show leadership and we identify areas annually, regardless of if there's a need or a feel that we need to do it. We just need to identify where we can work to bring strength to a certain area. So if we'll give Dr. Ball an opportunity to reassess a little bit of special ed, but I would encourage that we look at ourselves and find out where can we offer some assistance and where there can be an assessment. And I'll also look, if it's not special ed, let's look somewhere else. As long as we're allocating resources and we're helping the district move forward, that's really the end goal.
Mr. Macias, do you have that copy of that assessment, that risk management?
I believe it's filed, and I certainly can provide it if it's not.
Would you mind
Sure.
supplying?
I'll
to
send it to Ms. Holmes.
Yeah.
And
so
that
we
way she can
all-
send it.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
It's absolutely very informative. 24 different areas were earmarked back then,
So-
and there was a risk. So mind you, it's just a glimpse. They didn't go in and look under
It
the
wasn't
hood.
comprehensive?
They couldn't, not the
Okay.
initial assessment. The assessment was designed to look at all areas of risk. HR was identified as number one, and again, special ed was two. So there are other areas, and procurement is one of them. So there are just so many different aspects that we can take a look at, but as long as we're doing that, I feel that'll be part of an annual position that we should be taking
I
part
think
of.
that would be a good document to have. Thank you. Ms. Eaton?
Mr. Macias, I agree with you about the need for an assessment to be done, but in all fairness to Dr. Ball and our current situation with the district financially, I would like to give her an opportunity to give us some feedback on what she's found out. Because what excuse me?
She can do that at the same time. There's no reason we do one or the other. We
Well,
can
it's
do both.
just that you're talking about some numbers from 2012, and this is 2018.
Well, that's why we're
going
board.
into 19.
We assess it
And
together.
we just,
I mean, if it's not important to this board, then it's not.
I didn't say it wasn't important, sir. I said I would like to give Dr. Ball an opportunity to make her assessment and come back to us so that when we ask for an audit, we can pinpoint the areas that are lacking. So it won't be like HR's audit. If that had not been ongoing when she came in, I would have made the same request. You know, she come back to us and let us know, yes, do the audit, and this is where we need to focus. You understand what I'm saying? Because an audit is just a self-check of the performance of the district. That's always a good thing. But I'm just asking for, to be able to actually come up with what areas we want to look at. I don't want to be the dead dog.
Well, like I said, I picked special ed because it was number 2. The only reason I picked that one, it could have, if something else was number 2, I would have picked child nutrition if that came up. But we need to start somewhere, and so that was the last assessment. If we were to say, with our 40,000 that we have, let's do another risk assessment. Let's find out what the current temperature looks like. Well, that's the whole point. Let's ensure that we're utilized resources. Well, I'm not just saying to use it. I mean, use it on something that's going to help us strategically.
Dr. Ball?
Yes. A couple of things I want to point out is that we have been doing some things internally with special ed, and we have made a lot of progress. A lot of the information that I get from what we currently have is that our district is making a lot of progress, and I'd like to be able to share that at a further board meeting. So I will get with the team so everybody is informed of that. So I'd like to share that with the team. I'd also, in January, I'm going to ask Dr. Fields to help me remember that we are doing an audit for the child nutrition, so the board wasn't aware of that. So again, we need to remind the board, the team knows that I like to over-communicate, so we will share that, because I also did notice that we weren't feeding as many students as I thought we should. So we've taken some actions there, but we will put it on the January board meeting, so the board knows already in regards to the audit that we're doing in the food service area. There was a third, but I apologize, I can't remember right now.
That's okay. And one other thing that I wanted to say to Mr. Macias, I remember when we said that we wanted to do the HR audit, and Mr. Elizondo kept asking us for specifics, and we didn't have any. I don't want to do that this time, and if Dr. Ball can give us something so we know when we get ready to do that audit, should we do it, we know exactly what it is that we're asking them to look at.
What I'm going to do is encourage Dr. Ball, just like I did with Dr. Mackey, and walk her over to Northeast ISD and Northside, so she can see how the working internal audit process works. And remember the difference, if I can't stress it enough, internal audits are independent. They're not under the superintendent. They're independent third-party assessments that help the board, and that engagement is the invaluable part. That's the part we need to get to. And so if we give everything to the superintendent, we don't need to be around. So there's a function there which catches everything. We as a board need to provide these oversight, work with our superintendent. So Northeast does a really good job with their internal audit function that I got really excited. So Dr. Ball, I will encourage you to meet with the superintendent at Northeast and talk specifically about that internal audit function. Dr. Mackey wasn't a big fan. He had his own strategy, but this is something, Dr. Ball, that if you evaluate it, this might be something you can see how this works. I don't know if they had this function at Uvalde or at Southwest ISD, but I do know Northside and Northeast are batting out of the park, and it's been really helpful. So I just think as a board, as a district, as we grow, it's important that we have these processes in place. I'll go ahead and pull it. Yeah, I'll pull it. I'll give Dr. Ball that assessment for the next couple of months.
So we'll table this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say till February. Let's give some time. Yeah, we have a lot going on.
Thanks. We will move on to item 7, discussion items. 6C will be closed session. 7A, superintendent report, construction update. Dr. Ball?
Yes, I know that everybody has their report with them. I can tell you that today the Wortham Oaks teachers visited the campus. They're getting really excited about the possibilities that are going to happen at that campus, so we're excited. But I know the board has a report, so unless y'all have any questions or anything specific that you would like for us to answer or address? Okay.
Item B, Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas, FIRST presentation.
Yes, Mr. Elizondo said that he really wanted to make sure he made a presentation before he left.
I don't think so.
You all will probably remember that I come up here every year and make this presentation to you as is required by the legislature. And what this is the state of Texas, the legislature, well, Texas Education Agency at the direction of the legislature, created a rating system for public school districts so that they can monitor how well we do financially, so that we can communicate with the public if we're doing a good job or not so great of a job, and where the opportunities are. And so this presentation, and it always lags 1 year behind. So even though we're in 2018, we're presenting on actually the 2017 fiscal data, because that's what we have reported to the agency on. So again, the reason for this report is to share with the community how well we're doing or not with our finances, The system was created in 2001, and again, the goal is just to achieve, to measure the performance of each school district, financial performance. We're required to hold a public meeting to share the results of this rating with the community and with the board. And for the School First, which is what this is called, there are 4 different levels or ratings that are assigned to the school districts. You can either earn a superior rating, an above standard rating, a meet standard, or a substandard achievement. And if you happen to be one of the districts who goes to a substandard achievement, then you have to file a corrective action plan with TEA to tell them how you're gonna do better next time. For our school district for the year, we earned the superior rating, which is the highest rating that you can earn. And so I'm gonna go through the criteria a little bit as to how they determine that superior rating. There are, for this particular year, they change the criteria every so often, and for this year that we're looking at, there were 15 criteria that they evaluated. And so again, we're using the numbers that are from the 2016-17 school year. And this presentation, before I go any further, in case anybody's writing any notes, it is on our website under the Business Services Department. There's a download section, and the first presentations for this one, as well as a number of the past years, are on that website. So anybody can look at it there. So the first question is, and I'm gonna go through these rather quickly, but if you have any questions, please stop me. The first one is just really asking, was our financial report, which is our annual audit, submitted to the agency within the timeline that they allow? And the answer for that particular question is yes, it was this year. And they also asked us to answer the question for the previous year for reference as to how you're doing compared to the previous year. And the answer was the same, yes, for both times. We submitted it on time. For criteria number 2, and there are actually 2 parts to number 2, the first one just asks, was there an unmodified opinion in that report? And that just means that, did the auditors submit the highest really level of opinion as they could for the school district on the report? Were there any kind of adjustments to the letter, or was it just the regular unmodified opinion? And in our case, it was the unmodified opinion, which is what we're looking for all the time. And it was the same in the prior school year. And there's a lot of other information that is here that y'all are welcome to go read on the website, but I'm not gonna go through and read it to y'all. On 2B, it also asks, were there any weaknesses when the auditors reviewed our records? Did they find any internal control weaknesses where we're having the same person do things that maybe they felt was a weakness in how we're handling our management and our finances? And the answer was that there were not. They did not find any instances. And some of these questions are kind of asked in a negative way, so that you ask for a yes response, even though, because it's saying, were there no instances? And you had to say, yes, there were no instances. So, so we did find here for both this year and the prior year. On number 3, it's asking, did we pay all of our payments for all of our debt? So for all of our outstanding bonds, did we pay them on time within the fiscal year? And the answer is yes, we did. We paid all of our bond payments as required. For number 4, it asks about payments made to the teacher retirement system, all the contributions for our employees, workforce commission, the IRS, all of the withholding that we do for our employees' paychecks. Were those all paid on a timely basis? And yes, they were. They were all paid on a timely basis. Number 5, it asks about, was the total unrestricted net position balance in the governmental activities column in the statement of net position greater than 0? What it really is just saying is your net position for the school district, was it greater than 0? Do you have assets available for the school district to spend and that are unrestricted? And for this particular year, we did, and the same thing for the prior year, so we were fine there. For number 6, it asks what the number of days of cash on hand, and what they're trying to determine is, do you have enough money to pay your bills? And so we did. We have 4 months worth of operating expenditures for that particular year in the general fund, so we were fine there. Number 7 was a measure of current assets to current liabilities enough to pay short-term debt. So if we had any short-term loans, did we have enough money again in our revenues to make sure that we covered those debt payments? And the answer again is yes, we did have sufficient funds for that. On number 8 was a ratio. They're looking at the same thing here, but for long-term debt versus short-term rate, short-term debt. And yes, the answer is again, we had sufficient funds available to make sure that we made all of our long-term payments as well. For number 9, it's asking if the general fund revenues were equal to or exceeded the expenditures. So they want to make sure that you have more money coming in than you're spending in the general fund, or at least where they're equal. And if you don't, then it gives you a little out there at the bottom. Then you need to have enough money in your fund balance to make sure that you can pay for, if you're in a situation where your expenditures exceeded revenue. But we didn't have to go to the second part because we had enough revenue that year to cover our expenditure, so we were fine. On number 10, was the debt service coverage ratio sufficient to meet the required debt service? In other words, do we have enough money again to pay for our requirements, to pay for bond payments or any other loans that we have out there? And the answer is yes, we do. We did at that time, and we still do now. Was the district's administrative cost ratio less than the threshold ratio? So number 11 is one that I kind of focused in a little bit and spent a little bit more time on, because this is always where the community and board members and all of us look at to say, hey, are we spending too much on central administration? Because everybody always thinks, oh, look, they're in these buildings and we're just spending way so much money on these people, let's just fire them all, and we'll save a lot of money. Well, while you would save some money, probably not the wisest thing to do, when you look at the ratio for the district, we're at 6.1%, and the ratio for a district that TA set up for a district our size is between 8.5 to 18.55. So we're well below even the ratios that they've established as to where we should be. So we're actually spending, if you put that in money-wise, it's several $1 million that we're spending below what we would be allowed to spend and still be okay in TA's eyes. Remember, there's 15, so we're almost getting there. So number 12, it asked that the district not have a 15% decline in student to staff ratio over the 3 years, and we didn't. We didn't have that large of a decline, and so we're fine there. The next one, on number 13, when you look at, we're required to submit our data to the agency via PEIMS. It's a public education information management system, which kind of tells the state how we're expending our funds, how we're spending them, and they compare that to all the other districts in the state. And they just want to make sure that when they compare that information that we're submitting to them, and they compare it to our audit report, which we submit independently of that, do the numbers match to make sure that we're really giving them the right information that our auditors audited. And in our case, yes, I mean, they always are met. They're always almost the exact same number. I say almost because there's a little bit of rounding sometimes, but it's almost that same number. Number 14, did the external independent auditors indicate in the annual financial report that there were any instances of material that were free of any material instances of non-compliance for grants or anything? So they check all of our grants, and they want to make sure that were there any issues when they were checking them. And in our case, there were no issues. And again, this is one of those questions which is worded kind of negatively, so you have to answer in the affirmative to be in compliance. So we were fine there as well. Number 15, did the school district not receive an adjusted repayment schedule? So sometimes when a school district doesn't have enough money to pay their bills, they'll ask the agency to adjust the way that they send them the state money to make sure they can pay their debt or pay their cash flow requirements, to pay payroll and their vendors. And we did not need to do that, so we were fine there. We met that ratio, that requirement. So those are the 15 criteria that they use, and so we were fine on all of those, and therefore we received the superior rating. And there's some other information, though, that they also ask that we share with the public and with the board. And just for y'all to know, since 2001, since this particular indicator system was established, we've always, the Judson Independent School District has always earned the highest rating that was available, which was always been superior, and there was a 1 year where they, I think, put met standard because they removed a superior for that year. The only year in which we did not was in 2009, and the reason is because one of the criteria during that year had to do with student completion rate, and so we didn't meet that particular criteria, so we did not get the highest. We got above standard, which was the next highest rating. But that was, since, other than that year, we've always had the highest rating, and that criteria, they realized that it wasn't really fair to have that as part of the financial component, so they removed that from the criteria that they were using. For financial strength, want you to know kind of over our fund balance, how we've been doing. And over the last 5 years, our fund balance has been an average of about 30.6% of our total expenditures. So we have definitely have sufficient funds to make sure that we pay all of our expenditures without having to go to the bank and borrow money to make our requirements. Here, this slide shows you our tax collections. We always budget for budget purposes, we use 98% as our collections. And you can see over the past years that we've always exceeded the 98% by a little bit, but when you look at total tax collections, we're at 100% of what we anticipate. So we're always collecting more money thanks to our taxpayers that pay their bills, that we're collecting the revenue that we need to operate the school district. On the for cost management, again, this is just kind of showing you a 5-year history of where we are. Like there's a column there that shows you the change in fund balance, and that shows you from year to year how much our fund balance is going either up or down, and that just is dependent on how much revenue and expenditures we have. So that 1 year where you see that there's a negative .97, that means that our expenditures exceeded our revenue that particular year by a little bit. So, and at the very last column, which says the fund balance as a percentage of expenditures, this kind of shows you for that, each one of those years, what our percentages are. On the administrative cost ratio, again, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but this is what I mentioned a minute ago, that we, for fiscal year 17, we're at 6.18, and you can kind of see historically for 5 years what our trend has been, and also what the state standard has been. So you can see that we have always been well below what even the range is that the state says is appropriate for a district our size. Beginning with 2007, the legislators wanted us to share a few more items with the public, and so there are going to be a few more slides on those, and we're almost getting to the end, I promise. So one of them they wanted to share was the superintendent's contract. And in the past, we weren't posting the superintendent's contract on our website, but Dr. Ball asked that we post her contract on the website to be fully transparent to the community, so they're out there. The other districts do the same, the north side, northeast, you can go to their websites and see them. So before we used to, at the meeting, we used to say, if anybody wants superintendent's contract, ask us and we'll hand it out to y'all. But in lieu of doing that, it's on our website. If you go to our website and look, you can do a search for the required postings, and it will take you to that specific area and just look for the superintendent's contract, and you can view it there if you like. And if you have any questions, obviously you can always ask administration. One of the other items that is required that we share with the public is how much money our superintendents spend and how much money our board members spend for the fiscal year. Now you're going to see that Dr. Montoya is on here because that's who the superintendent was at that time. So this is kind of just to give you an idea. Total, it's broken down, as you can see, by several categories, and you can see kind of the totals by each particular district member and board member. And again, these are on our website, so if you would like to spend a little more time looking at them, you can definitely go out to the first out there and look at it. But I'm going to go to the next screen if that's okay. Shows the remaining number of our board trustees and what their expenditures were for that particular year. And I'm going to continue on. There's also a few other, there's 2 more slides I think, that just ask, does our superintendent, because there are superintendents that also work for other entities even while they're employed as a superintendent for a school district, and they want us to share that with the community. So we didn't, Dr. Montoya didn't have any other sources of revenue that he was paid for, or at least that he told us about while he was working here, so we have 0 for him. Also, if any of our executive officers and board members and our board members receive any gifts of $250 or more in the aggregate, they're supposed to report it to the administration, to the superintendent's office, so that we can make note of that. And there were none reported to the administration, so we don't have anything to report as far as any gifts being given to board members or any other officer of the district that exceeded that $250. And also, if there are any board members that own businesses that also do transactions with the school district. In the past, we did have a board member who also owned a business who we transacted with, and we just required that they disclose that, and so that the public knew and was aware of it. But we don't currently have any arrangements like that. And that's it. That's my presentation. And if y'all have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them for you, or if the public has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Does anyone have any questions? I'd just like to say, for your last presentation, Mr. Elizondo, thank you very much. You are to be commended for us always passing and having a superior rating, you and your team of people that you work with. And we're going to work very hard, make sure we keep it that way.
And I appreciate that, and I always say, it's just not me by any means, it's the entire school district. It takes all of us. As long as we're all doing our part, then we will be fine. When any one of us doesn't do our part, then things start going the wrong way.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for being part of this village. We are at item 7C, Statement of Impact submitted by the Gathering Place. Dr. Ball?
Yes, ma'am. We in a charter school intends to develop in an area of our district. They are required to notify us and to notify TEA. So we have attached that letter from the Gathering Place of their intent.
Okay, thank you.
Can we ask questions?
Yes, absolutely.
So I noticed on this one, generally the second page of this is filled out, when we've received these before, and this one was blank. And usually I'm just curious about where their physical location of the school is proposed to be. Do you know? The address they gave, it looks like their home address, which maybe they just haven't found a physical location yet.
Later on, the information that I received, it says it's going to be off of Fredericksburg Road.
Okay.
Mhm.
Item 7D, update on Our Kids Can. Mr. Macias.
Yes, I know that we started as a district looking into our Kids Can program, and so I wanted to kind of see where we were in that process with that collaboration.
Yes, so we entered into the partnership. We signed the contract just earlier this week or last week, and we are going to be starting on January the 7th. We will start with pre-K, kinder, and first grade. We are paying for first grade. Pre-K and kinder is going to be free. So we are going to implement it at this time, only for the spring semester, until we have data to look and see that the program is being successful. Some of the matrices that we'll use is, of course, we'll look at attendance. We'll also be looking at the parent engagement component of it. That is one of the things that the program, Our Kids Can, really stresses the importance of it and has a component of involving the parents. So they will be getting data from us to be able to compile their reports, and looking forward to getting those reports from the company to see if it is something that we would want to continue for the following school year.
That's good. Is one semester enough time to truly evaluate it? I'm assuming if it's a program, there's an induction phase to the program and orientations. I mean, I don't know what the details of the program, but you think we can get a healthy assessment within one semester?
I really can't say for sure. I could come back to the board and say that we need more time. So only time will tell. I know that sounds a little ironic, but I want to make sure that we give them, of course, a very fair opportunity to implement, and our teachers and campuses a fair opportunity. So only time will tell if we're going to need more additional time, or if the data already tells us something.
Thank you. Item 7E, update on SAT prep initiatives. Mr. Macias.
Yes, I put this on the agenda just to follow up on a few things, and I know that a few years ago, God, it just seems like yesterday, it's been a long time now, we started our Princeton Review as our first step at doing SAT prep, and since then it's evolved, and we've done some wonderful things to provide SAT days, and I mean, we're really, I think, leading the way in that respect. But I know that we shifted our processes in terms of the SAT prep by doing after schools, by doing weekends. So I was curious as to where we are now in offering that prep, and what capacity. Has it doubled, quadrupled? Where are we in terms of supporting it? And the last thing is, I know that some years ago, we had about 200,000 allocated that went down to maybe about 120,000. So those are resources I know that we had in the budget for this type of initiative. So I'm wondering if we've leveraged anything, or so just talk to me a little bit about where we are on this.
Sure. I know that Mr. Heiner and Dr. Ganthu work on this almost probably on a daily basis because it's something that's very important to our district, and it's something that is always evolving and changing because we want to make sure our students are college ready, and this is certainly one of the indicators that prepares them for that. So I'm going to let Dr. Ganthu share some of the specifics.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Ball. The SAT, Mr. Macias, falls under the Texas Success Initiative, and the Texas Success Initiative includes SAT, TSI, and so forth. And I think that's something you know, but for purposes of the audience, I'm providing some clarification. So we look at this as a package to make sure that we are preparing our students for college readiness. And we started in the summer with our TSI Summer Bridge. We had over 200 students participate, and the success that we had there getting the students college ready was incredible. We continued in August. We did TSI, we provided TSI and SAT professional development for English and math teachers. This was a request that was brought by our board last year, and the request was, let's build the capacity of our staff so that we have more students being impacted and help improve SAT and TSI. So we started with English and the math teachers. This was in August. In September, we also provided Saturday prep sessions. We were getting ready for the October senior SAT test date, and we provided SAT sessions for our students. Then later on in September, we provided prep sessions for all our students. We had a school day SAT, and it was at 2 different high schools, and this was for seniors. So we had a consultant actually come in and work with students directly. We've got additional training scheduled in January. We're going to be doing some SAT professional development. We're going to continue with our English and math teachers. We've also included SAT and TSI content into our curriculum. So our teachers, when they're teaching the curriculum that we have for math and English, now they're seeing some of those indicators. So we've also provided some resources for our teachers to be able to use for our students that are taking SAT remediation courses. We're also very fortunate to have the National Math and Science Initiative grant. We're in year 2 of 3 years. That was at $1.6 million. And that has given opportunity for our teachers to get PD. We also have student sessions. We have mentors for the teachers. We've got classroom resources. And so if you're wondering a little bit about the data and how that has impacted, what we did is we provided, we researched a little bit the last 3 years. And so what we saw, and for example, one of the greatest gains that we saw had to do in the area of TSI, and this is only annual graduates. This is based on the TAPER report. This is a state report. And so if you look at 3 years ago in the reading, we were at 19% passing rate. And this year, we're only at midpoint. This is only half a year, and we're almost at 24%. So we've significantly increased in the reading. Math has been challenging, but we also have increases. 3 years ago, we were at about 15%, and at half point, or mid-year, this school year, we're at 22%. So there's been some significant growth. SAT has had incredible growth. In 2016, we had a 7.9% passing rate at or above the criteria for SAT, and 2018, we're at 18%. So you can see that the work that we're doing, not only by the sessions for students, but building our capacity for our teachers, including it in the curriculum, working with our curriculum team to make sure that we included these skills, is actually making a difference in our students. And with this intentional planning, we expect to see continued growth.
Where this TSI support, is it coming from the $120,000 that we have allocated for SAT prep? Is that where the funding is coming from?
Yes, sir. We repurpose funds so that we could cover a broader range of support services for our students and everything under the Success Initiative.
And so the Success Initiative is Texas, right?
That is correct, sir.
Yeah. SAT is a national examination, and it's not just Texas.
That's correct.
So the idea of doing that is absolutely beneficial. It's measurable. We're seeing increases. Don't put the brakes on that. That's phenomenal. But my request would be to offer true SAT prep. I'm telling you, this examination is a key to scholarships. It's also a culture of ensuring that our students know that this examination will be part of their academic future. It's a deliverable. And setting that mindset, which we're doing that too. I'm not saying we're not, because the SAT days really emphasize that point, the logistics behind it. But I want to give our students more support for that examination. It could even be ACT. I'm not it's not biased to one, it just SAT just happened to be the one we brought up. And so I don't want the SAT prep initiative to get lost with the TSI. And that's sort of what I hear a little bit happening, that we're focusing on the TSI, which is great. But the SAT part, I think, is something that as we look to be a district of choice, we need to be innovative. We need to be able to say, you come to this district, we will help you with your SAT from middle school on up, which I know we're doing parts of it, but we have the ability to even do it better. And so that's what I've been sort of wanting to see. And I had an idea some years ago when we had this discussion. The idea was to, as you mentioned, build capacity from our teachers to actually mentor cohorts of students and offer SAT prep in their classroom. Once we train the teachers how to teach students to take the SAT, and then they mentor and coach them for a semester, you have a bond and you have some accountability and you have some support, which I believe our students need. So if we can get to that point where we're actually offering stipends to teachers to be part of this SAT prep initiative, I think it would, of course, be of great value to our teachers, but to our students. And so I want to get to that point. And a simple math, we figure out a stipend schedule that is fair, but we look at each teacher being able to train 30 students. And I know that we have some challenges there too, because I've attended some of the SAT prep shops. We don't have, the room's not full sometimes. So that's why I feel there needs to be some mentorship from the staff member or the teacher to offer that support to students. But it's just important, and I think that we have the ability to really be unique and keep an eye on that preparation. So obviously, I appreciate the update. I have an idea of where we are. I'll work with Dr. Ball to look at some future efforts of emulating this concept. And anyway, yes, Dr. Ball, you want to say something?
Yeah, you know, I get all excited, right? Next meeting is probably going to be one that you will also enjoy hearing some information. I think that all the board received some information in regards to how we have been really working on our discoveries, our learnings, our preparation for 5x5. So in January's board meeting, 5x5, plus some of these items that you and Dr. Cantu mentioned and many others will be addressed. So looking forward to January's meeting, because that truly will help us become that premier school district that we want to be. So just know that forthcoming, there'll be lots of information.
I like forthcoming. Okay, I can definitely work with that. And thank you. Again, appreciate the update, and thank you, Dr. Ball.
Yes, Ms.
Thank you. I just want to say that as a teacher myself, I understand the impact that the curriculum can have when you embed these same skills within the curriculum instead of teaching them in isolation. And all the research shows, particularly the writing and the reading, that if it happens on a day-to-day basis, students are much more likely to absorb and use that information. Additionally, incorporating it into the curriculum and not just a set day offers the opportunity for the students who cannot come on a Saturday, or who are working after school, or who can't get there in the morning because of other commitments. So I love the fact that we're embedding those, being aware of how the SAT looks. I know that those are all good skills to have, period, not just for making students test ready, that they're what you need to be someone who can be successful later in life. So while I can see a let's hit it and get it kind of full day thing, the ongoing embedding, not just right before they take the test, but from, I understand we're doing this not just in high school, but middle school also. So we're building those skills year after year so that they become truly ingrained in the students. And I appreciate curriculum for doing that effort.
Just a real quick comment. I always reflect back into where this whole idea came from, and my daughter actually went to Sylvan Learning Center, and we put her in an SAT prep at Sylvan. We paid for it, but we put her through that. She ended up earning an $80,000 scholarship for college, but what Ms. Canoyer had said, the alignment of what she was learning at Judson High School combined with the prep put her on a pathway that she could be successful. And I certainly want us to continue to do that and offer that. So anyway, thank you.
Okay. Item 7F, mid-year update on requests made by board members. Dr. Ball?
I have not had any specific requests, but I do know that I could share with you some of the things that are forthcoming in the January board meeting. And I'm calling it 5x5, but through the 5x5, we'll be hitting lots of things in the area of curriculum, SAT prep, special ed, CTE. So in the January board meeting is when you'll hear lots of information on that topic.
Thank you. Update on board advisory committees. Does anybody have any updates? We'll start with Ms. Canoyer.
You know I always have updates. First of all, I want to talk about the Judson Education Foundation. As you know, we had our Wobble and Gobble, which is our annual Thanksgiving feast with the introduction this year of the 5K. We had 82 people who signed up to run the race, which I think is amazing for a first year starting out. We don't have all the expenses in yet, but it looks like we're well on track to make well over $3,000 in profit off of that. We also had the Jingle Bell Jamboree, and that was a little more difficult because we had some extremely important football games on the same day as the Jingle Bell Jamboree. But we did have 72 vendors and approximately $4,000 in profit, still again waiting on a couple of expenses to come in on those. And then for Jeff, the next big item, of course, is our annual fundraising gala on January 26th with a casino night theme. So that should be a whole lot of fun to see if you can beat some of us in roulette or blackjack or what have you. So I'm hoping that a lot of you who may not have attended previously will come out and have some fun with us and help support a wonderful organization, Judson Education Foundation. I'm speaking for the public who's not here but might be listening later. Gives back all the money that we earn, that we make profits, and we make grants to teachers, to principals, and also offer scholarships for students. We've also had the Finance Committee met, and we kind of had an update on some requests for information. And I would love to encourage more people to come out and join us at these meetings. The more minds working together to solve issues, and frankly, finance, as we all know, is an issue. Would love for you to come and have those, and we're going to see about publicizing those a little bit better so that the public knows exactly when they are. And then the Curriculum Committee, which I always brag about, is working really hard and has had a wonderful update. I'm going to ask Betty, I'm going to forward her the notes from the last Curriculum Committee to ask her to send them to all of you so you can see the work that's going on there. There's a really good overview of what's been put into place and how we're moving along.
Ms. Canoyer, I'd also ask, would you please share the JEF report with Ms. Holmes so that we can all have it? Thank you.
I don't have that in digital form, but I'll ask Ms. Lexi. And also, one of the things that happened at the last board meeting was that Ms. Greathouse is going to be coming and presenting quarterly, kind of an update for you all, as well as the one big annual report. So not only will you get the little tidbits that I share, but you'll get the full thing from her.
Very good, thank you. Update on board training conferences, events, consider future agenda items, requests by board members. We'll start with, I'll start on this end with Ms. Eaton.
We have the winter session coming up. That's it.
Ms. Rodriguez,
I don't have anything coming up.
Ms. Canoyer,
Not until February.
Mr. Macias.
I don't have anything at this time, no, not till February, so I'll talk about it in January.
And I don't have anything either. At this time, the board will now adjourn into closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, discussing personnel and updates, including new hires, resignations, and administrative appointments. And B, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, private consultation with the district's attorneys to discuss status of pending construction defects litigation. The time is 7:41. The board will now convene in open session. The time is 9:10. No final action, decision, or vote was taken while the board was in closed session. Item 9, consider and take possible action regarding items discussed in closed session. Consider and take possible action regarding personnel and updates, including new hires, resignations, and administrative appointments. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Macias and seconded by Ms. Canoyer. Is there discussion? Then we will vote. A unanimous vote of 5-0 has passed, and the time is 9:11. This meeting is adjourned, and I'd just like to say Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
I would also like to congratulate our new appointment for Assistant Principal to Candlewood, Mr. Michael Weber. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Mr. Weber.